Greetings, ladies and gentle readers! I just finished To Flail Against Infinity, The Stargazer's War, a sci-fi cultivation epic book one. Now that was a mouthful that got my attention. Sci-fi! I just read Battleship, and I was like, you know what? I liked it. I liked that was good. That was good. I liked it. Maybe try another sci-fi novel, and I came across this, my recommendations. A sci-fi cultivation. Now that is an interesting thing. Most of this book I enjoyed. I thought there was a lot of interesting things going on in this book. Like you took a cultivation novel, so you ultimately know what's going on and where it's going. You took sci-fi, which is adding its own little twist on the cultivation genre, a genre which, if you have read many cultivation novels, is kind of plagued with a whole heap and amount of really terrible books. And I mean a lot of really terrible books. So I like that we've kind of got this story that we know where it's going ish, kind of, but we don't really know how it's getting there because there's like an entire galaxy as the backdrop for the science fiction thing. We've got tech being interspersed with it in a lot of respects. Let's see, spoiler free. What can I say about it? It is someone who didn't anticipate being a cultivator. And for those of you who've never read a cultivation novel before, just take cultivation and take that out and then put in magic, and you pretty much know what's going on. They didn't expect to be a magician for the most part. Something happens, as things usually do, and they find out they've now got the ability to essentially wield magic. They have to cultivate and get more powerful. How much of this is spoiler? Okay, a lot of this. Okay, I think this is not the greatest description I've ever seen in a book before. I think there's a lot here that they're kind of not quite telling you in some of the more interesting aspects of the book. They do have it nailed that the type of power that he has drives people insane. And we kind of learn that over the course of the book. It's not really a spoiler because it's right there in the description. The type of power that he gets tends to drive people insane. So he needs to be careful with how he's getting stronger. He needs to be careful with how he's using what he has, not drawing attention to himself. I always like books that do that and then just don't just have like zero to hero with like characters fawning over the main character left and right. I like that there's a lot of tropes they can't avoid in this, but they kind of do it in a little bit of a comedic way. Like there are tournaments that the main character doesn't really care about because they've got other things to worry about. So there's like some comedy there. There's some other tropes, which is like the instructor being, evil against the main character for whatever reason. And there's like some humor there. So I anticipated not liking it because this is kind of like a story where it's like we've been here before, but the author managed to like twist it in such a way and add like some sci-fi stuff that even though you know what it is you're being served, you haven't really tasted it before. Like it's prepared differently. The author isn't. I keep calling the author the main character. The author doesn't reinvent the wheel in any way, shape, or form, but they do manage to dress it up in a way that it kind of feels like you haven't read it before, even though you know you have. It's really really cool. It's really great. I like it. I liked it a lot. I'm eagerly waiting for the next book. One thing I'm not surprised about in the slightest is this is coming from the author who wrote This Quest is Bullshit, which, again, it's just a humorous lit RPG that I did find amusing for a while. So I'm not surprised in the slightest that he's taking this and playing to their strengths. Like, okay, I got decent writing. I tend to lean more humor, so that I'm gonna make sure that's in the book with whatever I'm doing. So you kind of take it seriously, but you have a laugh at the same time. It's good. It's good. If you haven't read it yet, it's sub 500 pages. I heavily recommend it, and we're gonna be talking about some spoilers as to why I heavily recommend it coming up right now. So here's your last chance to back out if you don't want any spoilers. If you want to go pick up the book right now, you can. It's fantastic. If you like sci-fi and even enjoyed any cultivation like Cradle, you're gonna like this. You will. You will. You will. You will. All right. So it starts with our main character here, and he is a deep space welder, run of the mill, job hopping from like ship to station, just doing, patch jobs, making ends meet, all the while being careful of crazy cultivators that go crazy in deep space because something about going into the deep dark, they just can't handle it and they go insane. Sure enough, on this station in the middle of nowhere, a cultivator does show up. They do go insane and kill everybody on the station. That's like the first couple of chapters, or maybe in literally the first two chapters. And that's how the main character becomes. Like he's there on the hall, welding things in place, wanting to avoid, the stuck up cultivators who all usually think they're superior to everyone. So he's just going doing his job with his bro. And the lights go out. That sucks. They go back, everyone's dead. Bro dies. Again. He doesn't, even though there's humorous section in this, the author doesn't pull their punches. Like I was getting a feel for the guy's brother, and then suddenly, bam! I was like, oh, I thought maybe we would have like a duo going forth, but no. Okay, bye, bro. You're gone. And he, sure enough, gets the life sucked out of him by this cultivator too. Essentially, he takes the magic out of everybody for themselves. Because something about going into deep space makes them and be kind of like starved of their magic, kind of makes them want to rip it out of anywhere they can possibly get their hands on. So stations, engines, the people living there, they just snap and yeah, not a good time. Not a good time. But I like that twist. I really like that twist. So yeah, he gets light sucked out of him too. But he's been a vac welder all his life. He thrives in deep space. So sure enough, the moment of his death, he reached out to something that's out there, and something in the nothingness reached back. And now suddenly, he's got a kind of cultivation, a kind of magic that drives people like them insane. And that's the backdrop for the entire book. Now, a ship, and I'm surprised I didn't mention this, a living ship saves him off of, the star, essentially that uh, that station that's now a ghost town, has a clue of what's happening to him and tries to help him get to where he needs to go to get the kind of training that he needs in order to not destroy himself. All the while kind of hiding the fact that, oh, and by the way, I can do things that will scare the pants out of all of y'all. He's not zero to hero. He has to try really, really hard. And the book focuses not on like training montage and lifting weights and, fighting. It's all more personal than that. Like he meets these characters, one person who is like that, just loves the fighting, and they have their interactions. There's another one who doesn't want anything to do with him, but she's a bit brainy, so he winds up bribing her to essentially be around him so he can get more information. And that's interesting because it's like, I don't want to be around you, but you got some resources I need. Give me, give me, give me, give me, give me. So that's kind of cool. Most of the characters around him don't care about him. It's not like, oh my god, you did this and that. That's so amazing. I want to hurt you or help you or whatever. Like, no, you don't get the feeling like this is the main character, you know? Like a lot of, I'm just going to go ahead and say it, a lot of less than great cultivation or lit RPG or fantasy or sci-fi, whatever. Like they're not making that mistake of being like, oh yeah, that's clearly the main character and everyone around knows it. Nah, nah, not like that. Not like that. He's very much a background character, and that's really what really helps. Like Cradle, for example, one of the most successful cultivation novels of all time. You don't feel like the main character is the main character because he's very much in the background trying to survive and, better himself. Other things that stick out like that, like Iron Prince, again, same thing. Same thing. It doesn't feel like he's a main character. He's in the background. So it's more believable that all the other characters around them have their own lives and interests and they're just like going on about their day, but he's there too. And that's what you have in here. That's what you have in here. I think it was a really, really great touch of some people, noticing him and not being all that happy about it. Some people just like not caring, having to like kind of find ways to like bribe people to get what he wants. Like it really felt like a character in a world that made sense and didn't seem to fall apart with everybody knowing who the main character is. Essentially, is all I'm getting at. There's tournaments. Main character don't care about tournaments. It's like, yeah, I can't do what I can do there anyway. So, let's just get my beating out of the way while I don't fight back. Essentially, like it's funny. I enjoyed it. It's a different take on the cultivation genre. And I think this is definitely going to be something that has a lot more than 300 reviews within the coming months. If this doesn't have at least a 1 in front of this 3 within like a month, maybe 2, I'll be shocked. Because it looks like it's off on the right foot. I enjoyed the crap out of it, and I can't wait for the next. Especially the ending. The ending. Oh, the ending. I don't want to spoil this at all. I like the twist for who we wound up seeing as the big bad and how that was resolved. That was interesting. That was interesting. I'm not sure if I like who the new big bad's gonna be. It better not be her, is all I'm gonna say, because that's stupid if it is. If she goes on like a stupid thing because, oh, my crazy son who went crazy and killed all his people died, I'll be disappointed in you. You're better than this, Valentine. I know you're better than that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please, dear God, don't do that. Anyway, this is the Stargazer's War series, apparently, to Flail Against Infinity. I loved it. Hope you loved it too. Pick it up if you haven't already done so. It's such a good sci-fi cultivation book. Immediately up there, right next to Cradle, in terms of cultivation series. Hope you give it a try. And I'll see you next time.